So the new 2024 roadmap came out and I actually really like it. The truth is the developers have learned a little bit more through their consistent PTEs, and they understand you can't just jam a bunch of new content into a year. We have 3 maps for the Soviets and 2 for the British. It's important that they try to focus on the factions they already have added, rather than making new ones that only have a map or 2. While I do like the Finnish and Polish factions, we need to take a step back and try to do what is reasonable in a year's time. The British came out with sight problems on all the guns and had to be reworked. The tanks also needed to be reworked. El Alamein needed more concealment and cover as well. There was a lot of growing pains in 2023 as the development team changed leadership and direction. So to complain over the roadmap, as this title suggests, is not exactly what I intend. These developers can take a ton of criticism, unlike the guy from Harsh Doorstep creating a post telling people how to leave constructive criticism. This is the internet. If someone is being mean towards you to the point of harassment, there is a block and a mute button usually. You are going to get loonies and people that genuinely are good people that understand how to be civil. However, we can't just drown out everyone's voice. The Team 17 developers get this now, and the PTEs and feedback they get from them is the right step forward. I'll be honest, however, people used to be filling the servers up for the PTE, and now much less people are on there, and there's a lot of jerks. I even went into one PTE where the commander was deep in enemy territory and not using any of his abilities just to troll us on his stream. It was a pretty unfun match, as you might imagine, so I left and played a regular game of Hell Let Loose. So yeah, drumming up support for player testing is a little harder than usual for some reason. Perhaps there has been a huge shift in tone and more veteran players are getting burnt out, so to speak, by time and people without microphones, which is nothing unusual, it happens every year. Even people with high levels seem to not understand that the commander makes 80 to 90% of the garrisons in the game. But I genuinely accept that these are the growing pains of people learning the game, and there are a few solutions. The first is to pick a leadership role and be extremely polite. Build the garrisons and be the change you want to see. You might teach and inspire others to do what you are doing because you are showing them what needs to be done. Not telling them, since human nature often dictates huge egos, and people don't like their ego being messed with, especially gamers. You could also take a break and quit the match, or even, dare I say it, switch teams, which can be extremely frowned upon if you use it to cheat, but let's face it, it is a much more enjoyable experience when you switch and you suddenly see green everywhere like you stepped into a dispensary. But I digress. I like the roadmap. It's simple, which means doable. And I am intrigued on what the mystery map is. My guess, either Kane or Berlin, because we desperately need more maps for the Soviets or the British. In my eyes, if they can do one map for the Americans and one map for a new faction every year, it would probably increase sales and maintain the player base. But the truth is, if a new player picks up the game, they refund it immediately if it is a broken piece of trash. So it is important to keep up with bug fixing and optimizations. If this means only one new map were to come out every year, I would be completely fine with it. And there definitely is an important aspect of the game that I feel needs a lot of work, and that is artillery. Well, maybe I should dial it back a bit. I think the issues with artillery can be solved in the short term, right now at this very moment, with some simple fixes, but if they want to make it more complicated, I'm all for that in the future. So let's get into it. Slap some HE in the tube and fire it off, because we're going to discuss where the hell in Hell Let Loose comes from: artillery. Artillery is absolutely devastating to both the enemy and friendlies, and it will definitely melt your ice cream, and by ice cream I mean your flesh. So naturally, someone is tasked with eliminating the guns, and that is usually the guys who can place their spawn anywhere on the map, The recon team. You know, the guys with the sniper rifles and the flare guns that can spot the enemy for, ironically, artillery? Well, those tools, throw them in the trash because your team isn't getting them. Recon has to kill artillery every 10 seconds when they spawn in at HQ. And it just becomes this obnoxious, boring loop. Recon should be taking down garrisons and nodes, which, by the way, are also boring to take out because it is very slow to take them out. But at least you are helping the team. And don't get me wrong, you are definitely helping out the team spawn camping artillery, but it isn't fun or engaging, and it has been this way for 5 years. And for 5 years, people have been asking for a fix and have been unheard. The truth is, it is not that complicated in the short term to fix this issue. In the long term, however, there remains a lot of questions I will address further in the video. So in the short term, I'm going to suggest literally the exact same suggestion everyone else and their cat have suggested. Fancy Feast. No, I mean TNT. Something small and explosive. Not quite the firepower of a satchel that team kills everyone in 40 meters, but something that can disable tank engines and artillery guns for a set amount of time, perhaps 20 minutes. Even if recon could only take out 1 or 2 guns, firepower of artillery is limited at that point, and recon can go and do more important work. You don't even need to animate the gun being destroyed. Just make a message that pops up and shames the artillery crew that they couldn't protect the gun. And that's it. That's all the developers need to add to make recon fun again. But since YouTube loves icebergs, let's dig a little deeper. That is the short-term goal, the easiest to accomplish without spending much money on development time. What if we had lots of dough? Enough dough to make whatever we wanted. We could start with a creeping barrage ability that the commander could unleash. A very good ability considering it emphasizes not killing all your teammates at once in a bombing run. We could also add in mortars. Perhaps mortar pits that need to be built with supplies and have a limited range so that regular infantry could potentially flank them. We could also add in self-propelled artillery, aka mortar half-tracks, the M7 Priest, the Hummel, the Su-76, the Sexton. Again, these should have limited range, but add a new dynamic for light tanks that must flank and kill these troublesome pieces. But in truth, the issue with mortars and SPAs is that they may provide more spam than ever before, as they could potentially be put anywhere. So in short, the simplest idea remains the best, and certainly the cheapest method available, and it really is a shame that the developers have never put this in 5 years, and I'm hoping we make a change.org for this. Hopefully by year 6 of this game, the meta will finally be fixed. Peace out everyone, Shaman out.